Now, politics and credit war over INS Vikrant has peaked. Now, the Congress party has released a video of former Defence Minister AK Antony claiming that in 2013, it was he who launched INS Vikrant. My colleague Pallavi now joins me on the broadcast. Pallavi, this seems to be unending now.
Yes, and it started early in the morning, just after it was launched by the Prime Minister, where Jairam Ramesh had tweeted to say that how fair is it that a single man or a single party in a government takes credit for it when it's actually been a work over years and several governments actually have been involved. And after that, it's been a war of words, Tejasvi Surya countering it. So the Congress party has consistently really maintained the line that whenever it comes to any of the flagship programs of the government or any big-ticket reforms or any big-ticket, launching, the credit also must be given to Dr. Manmohan Singh because it began during his period as well.
Absolutely. Pallavi, thank you so much for joining us. So the politics is speaking when it comes to INS Vikrant, and the Congress really wants a share in the pie. They want credit for INS Vikrant, claiming that Defence Minister in 2013, Mr. AK Antony, was the one who launched INS Vikrant. Pallavi continues to be with me. Pallavi, going back to what happened in 2013 and the references that they are making here. All right, I'm told that I have lost that link with Pallavi. However, this is something that is ongoing, like Pallavi was mentioning. Earlier, the Congress party, after that commissioning of INS Vikrant happened by the Prime Minister of the country, along with the Defence Minister, Mr. Rajnath Singh, in Kochi this morning, they claim that BJP alone cannot really claim the commissioning of INS Vikrant. It was the Defence Minister, the then Defence Minister in 2013, Mr. AK Antony, who had in fact launched INS Vikrant. Pallavi is back with me. Pallavi, I was wanting to go back to 2013. The association that the Congress party is making here, wanting to have that sort of credit to INS Vikrant. Just take our viewers to it.
Yes, I mean, if you go, and we were talking about this a short while back, how Jairam Ramesh's moments after the Prime Minister inaugurated and launched it, tweeted to say that, this is not fair because this is something I've developed. It's been a work in progress and several governments have been involved in it. And after that, they've been consistently giving proof and evidence, and that video we are talking about, officially released by the official handle of the Congress party, giving that credit to AK Antony when he was a defence minister, when the UPA was in power over here till at least 2014. And they were making the point that many of the programs which have actually been begun by the UPA, the credit is always taken by the Modi government, where the credit should also be given. So it's not just about INS Vikrant. Even when it comes to highways, when it comes to other programs, ambitious programs, projects of the government which are inaugurated by the Prime Minister, the Congress party is quick to jump in and also take claim and take credit for it.
Right. Pallavi, thank you so much. Shahzad Poonawala of the BJP also is joining me on the broadcast. Mr. Poonawala, acknowledge is what the Congress party is claiming over here.
The problem is that the Congress party always finds Rashtra-niti, the apt subject to do Rajniti upon. This is a moment which is a moment in history for 130 crore Indians who are being reflected, whose aspirations are being reflected by the Prime Minister. He's the Prime Minister of all. And on a day when we reach this stage of Atmanirbharta, that we are in the elite club of nations that can make their own warcraft, here is a party which denied OROP for decades, which denied National War Memorial for decades, which denied bulletproof jackets for 10 years, which blocked the Rafales, which did not construct infrastructure along the LAC, comes out and tries to take credit or wants to seek credit for the first family. Well, they should take credit for the first family for labeling the surgical strikes as surgical strikes, for labeling the Balakot airstrikes as fake airstrikes, for putting the blame of Pulwama onto India, not onto Pakistan. They should take credit for the fact that they have played politics over the Indian armed forces and tried to even break the maneuver of the forces in Galwan. So this is what they should actually take credit for. It's unfortunate that a day when we are celebrating the achievement of India, you have a party that is so narrow-minded that it is seeking credit for one family. And please, if the family does need credit, it should take credit for retaining George's Cross in the national Nishan of the Navy for so many decades. Why didn't they get rid of the George's Cross when many colonial navies got rid of it? It took Prime Minister Narendra Modi and before this Prime Minister Vajpayee to get rid of George's Cross.
If Congress goes on to say, Mr. Poonawala, that Krishna Menon helped in procuring the original INS Vikrant from the UK, and that acknowledgement is missing, how do you respond to that?
Today we are celebrating India's first indigenous aircraft carrier, the first indigenous Indian-built carrier, which is a first in so many decades. We are in the elite club of nations, I think with United States, United Kingdom, China, and a few others, who can design and build and manufacture from scratch their own warcraft. This is what we are. We are no longer a country that depends on imports, that depends on others. We are building it ourselves. This is what we are achieving today, and it is because of 130 crore Indians, their collective efforts that we have achieved this. Why reduce it to one party or one parivar? That is the problem.
But the fact that INS Vikrant is the predecessor and the legacy remains, Mr. Poonawalla, that is also something that the Congress party is claiming.
Prime Minister and this government has celebrated the legacy of all Prime Ministers by building a Prime Ministerial Museum. First, we saw one family, they had 400 schemes after them, 400 museums after them, 400 awards after them. We had one particular place in central Delhi being put for Mr. Nehru, one place for Indira Gandhi. But this is the government that celebrated the contribution of all prime ministers of this country by building a museum to salute their contributions. So I don't think that there is any problem in acknowledging anybody's contribution. Everybody's contribution has built this country. But today is a moment that India and Indians must celebrate. It should be kept above politics to celebrate one family.
No, absolutely.
And
we
it
all
could have
agree
been
to
kept
that,
about
Mr. Poonawalla. The
putting
fact that here an acknowledgement to the India's beloved carrier that we're talking about, India's original, that is INS Vikrant, is being much talked about. Of course, politics should have been set aside when it comes to this grand day, because it's a huge day for Indian Navy and the country in general. However, that acknowledgement is what they are going on, sort of accusing the BJP of missing. That is something that I need a response from you.
I don't think that is a claim that stands in the light of the statements I've just made, because the INS Vikrant and his glorious legacy continues, and today it will continue with this indigenous carrier that has been built by us. So I think there is no problem in that, but unfortunately some people have only perfected the art of putting family's credit above nation's credit.
Okay. All right. Mr. Poonawalla, thank you so much for joining me on the broadcast. And we are quickly moving on to this next piece of breaking news that we're getting on the broadcast. Let's take a look at that.